You are now tuned in to Unorthodox Gypsy, the podcast that delves into what makes people tick. Live life through other people's experiences. Anyone, anywhere, anything.
Pull up my big girl pants.
Hey everybody, this is Unorthodox Gypsy, and for all intents and purposes, this is our first episode with our guest, Ashley Harley.
Hello.
Okay, just so everybody knows, this is my sister, and as I mentioned in the intro episode, Unorthodox Gypsy is about telling the stories of everyday people, not just the famous ones, and nothing is off limits.
Oh.
So, like I want to start every single episode off, I want to ask, what is the story you want to tell us?
Okay. So I'm 32 years old. I was divorced in April of 2022.
Oh, so pretty recent.
Very recent. It ended a lot nastier than I thought it was going to. We have 2 kids. And I'm discovering the single mom life for sure. A little bit of struggles, but we're here.
Yeah, so what do you think was the biggest hurdle, like trying to navigate life, going from being married to becoming a single parent?
I would say financially is where I struggled the most, because you go from like 2 incomes to 1. And then with 2 kids, it doesn't change that financial responsibility either way. And also depending on who you chose as your partner, you might be paying for things that you didn't think you were going to have to pay for still. And so I would definitely say financially has been the biggest hurdle. I mean, I'm a Cancer. I'm obsessed with love. And I would say that me being single has also been a very big hurdle for me, because I'm just so obsessed with it. So that's nice. I love. Okay.
I thought those were Libras, but
I don't know. Like I feel like I need somebody to constantly take care of. Like, it's weird because like I don't have somebody to be like, dang babe, like this house looks good. Not that I was getting that. Okay, let's not pretend I was getting that. But like that's what I want, and I want somebody to just be like, damn babe, this house is so clean. I can lick the floor, and I'd be like, yeah babe, I get you.
I just want you to know that doesn't happen no matter who you're married to.
So if anybody out there wants to lick floors for me, you just let me know.
Okay, we're gonna stop that right there. We're not taking applications.
Yeah, I'm off limits. I'm emotionally unavailable, and I'm unhealed, and I come with problems.
Okay, so we are taking applications. I'm just kidding.
You want this baggage, babe?
But for real, like, what is a word that you would use, like, and think about it for a second, like, to describe you as a person, as a whole?
Me as a person? Oh, people, like, I don't know, like, I guess, like, one of the main things that people will tell me is that I'm, like, super easy to talk to, and I'm, like, very relatable, so maybe I'm just, how would I put that into a word? What word would you use for that? Because, like, I know I'm, like, a really big empath, and I know that people just, like, really gravitate towards that.
So, I could probably come up with a word for that, but, like, how do you see yourself?
Oh, how do I see myself? I mean, I like to think that I'm, like, a really hard worker, somebody who, like, really strives to, like, have goals and meet them, and, like, very goal-oriented for the most part, but I can be very fearful of my own goals, so...
I don't know what that word would be.
So, like, I'm ambitious, but I'm not. You can meet me halfway, right at the borderline. is where I'm
Okay, and
going
we're also doing American Idol, everybody.
for you.
So we'll come back to that. We'll come back
Yeah.
to that. But so when you're talking about your goals,
Mm-hmm.
there is something that I saw somewhere. It was a very important message, and a woman was speaking, and I apologize, but I can't remember for the life of me who it was. But she was basically saying how it's really easy to dream, and
easy.
make all of these goals, right? But goals are nothing. They're literally just dreams without action, right?
Absolutely.
And she was saying how, everybody has goals, but getting from the goal to actually achieving the goal, there's a lot of work that has to be done in the middle, and a lot of people never get to that point because they don't feel like they're worthy of the success of their goals. And so it's more than just fear. It's like actually like willingness to put yourself out there and feeling like you are worthy of that.
Yeah. I would definitely say I definitely struggle with my self-worth. That's for sure. I mean, and it's weird because a lot of people will say that like I'm really confident, and I've even been told that I'm too cocky, actually. And I'm like, where? Where?
Where?
Yeah. So like yeah. So I don't know. Like I guess I come off like a certain type of way. I guess I come off like a super like confident person who like really has it together and like is really like this really big go-getter. But like at the end of the day, I really am just like anybody else. Like I'm scared of my own like dreams. I'm scared of my own goals, and most of the time I don't know if I truly believe that I do deserve to have the life that I dream of.
And I think that's kind of funny because I feel not funny, but I think a lot of us sit in that realm. Like we just feel like it's unattainable, where it's like, oh, am I going to be the person who can achieve these lofty goals? Almost like you have to be one of those super special bestowed upon people in
Like
order
people
to
with
have
money
that life.
only have these kinds of privileges.
Right.
And that's not true.
No, it's not. And I feel like that kind of goes into a whole other conversation about privilege, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, ooh, that's a big subject.
Yes. Now, are some people in a better position to start? Absolutely.
Oh, 100%.
But can anybody get there? Sure.
Yeah, it just depends on how much work you're willing to put in, especially if you don't have maybe financial help.
Yeah. Money is always a big factor into anything. But I have said it before and I'll say it again. I feel like we're at a time in the world right now where it is so easy to find ways to make money.
That's true. There's so many, because like you can literally like DoorDash. Like I think that is like one of the easiest jobs that you could possibly get. Like you go on your phone, you fill out this really ridiculously short like application, and then you can literally start that day.
Unpaid promotion.
Yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, so like that's, I would say like something like that is like super easy to do. Anything where you're delivering food, there like it's just like anybody can do it. So there's like ways that you can make this little bit of extra income, but it also comes to like how much motivation each individual has, because that means that you have to get your butt up, get in your car, and just start making these trips. And not a lot of people, it's crazy how many, like today, like looking at today, seeing how many people are unwilling to put that much effort into something so simple.
Right. No, I mean, I was joking with Justin, my husband, yesterday, I think it was. We were just driving down the boulevard, and every single place is like, now hiring, now hiring, now hiring. And there's all these people that are like, we need help, we need a handout, we, can't find a job. And I'm just like, did you go outside?
Yeah, for real. Or like, oh my gosh, okay, so I'm a hairstylist. So I have people sitting in my chair, and I'll get people who are like, oh yeah, I'm looking for a job. And we're like, okay, well, this place is hiring. They're like, oh, I don't want to work there. What? but you need a job, but you're unwilling to work somewhere that's going to pay you. That makes so much sense. Because, like, if I couldn't find a job, which luckily for me in my industry, I feel like it's really easy to find one and to get into somewhere. We're hurting just as bad as everybody else out there is. But like, if I couldn't get one in my industry, if you think that I'm not going to go flip burgers at McDonald's to pay my rent, you're out of your freaking mind. Hand me that little visor, babe.
It beats being homeless, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, because I wasn't made for doing tricks in the parking lot, okay? I wasn't made for that.
Nope, me either. But, you know, like, beyond that, like, social media, you can literally make money from social media now. Like, you can make money for making videos. You can make money making podcasts.
Yeah.
You can make money literally selling any skill that you know on things like, on places like Fiverr.
Yeah, and
know?
Etsy.
Or that.
I mean, they take a really good chunk of your money, but you can sell it on there.
Yeah. I mean, the world is a prime place for anyone for anyone to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and like influencers, like you can be, so back to like the influencer thing. So influencers can actually go on and be like, get paid for like advertising like on Amazon. Like they can like like show off a whole bunch of stuff from Amazon and be like, hey, use this to purchase this item, and then they make money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so all they're doing is pretty much being a live commercial.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that there are some hoops to jump through because I haven't tried that.
Yeah, that one I think you have to be an influencer. Like you have to have a really good following and stuff.
Yes. You have to have a minimum following of 500 people.
Oh.
But it's like, I don't know what the hoop is. I know that there's like people you can pay to help you get through those hoops, but I don't know who to call. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And first and foremost, I was trying to do it myself. I didn't want to have to pay
Right.
to do it.
Right.
The whole point is I'm trying to get paid.
Right. Right.
Not pay someone to get paid.
So, what do you think of the world today? Just in general. Not like the politics, but...
I freaking hate it.
Elaborate.
Okay, well first, let's talk about inflation.
Yeah, that's some shit.
That's some shit. I'm not ready for it. My rent went from $1,500 to $2,035 in less than a year and a half. Yeah. No, thank you. I don't want to pay that. And then also, I would say, like the whole thing going on, like, I don't know if we really want to touch this topic because it's very touchy, but like race. And talking about like white privilege and like the war between our race, like our races. I mean, I know it's always been a problem, but I think like it's something that's been really highlighted in the last like 3 or 4 years.
Okay, so elaborate on that a little bit. Like, what do you mean when you say race?
Somebody's ethnicity, where they came from, where they were born, white, blacks, Mexicans.
Okay, and do you think that there's actually like a segregation problem, or do you think that it's more like people are using it as like almost like a victim approach?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it kind of just depends on the person and how they were brought up, really. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I don't have white privilege. I know I absolutely do in certain scenarios, in certain areas, and I really fully understand that. But like, I also do think that like, I don't know who I fully want to blame for it, but I just feel like it's been like made a problem again, like where it wasn't, like it's not the, I don't even know how to even put this in my own words, but like, I'll just give you like a story for an example. So the last place I was working at, this girl had applied, and she was not from America. She's not white. Okay. I know this. I don't care, girl. Like, come work with me. We need some employees. I'm tired of breaking my back. Please come work with me. Like, you say you can cut hair, girl, cut some hair. Like, let's just skip the interview. Like, that's where I'm at. Right. And she comes and she does the interview and then she leaves. And my boss was like, she's like, I don't know how I feel about her. And I was like, okay, why? I was like, is it because she's like super confident? And I was like, maybe she just seems like super confident and cocky because she feels like that's going to help her get the job. Because, like, a lot of us are hurting out here. Like, we need money. And, like, maybe she feels like she needs to put that energy off in order to get this job. And I was like, and I can respect that. Maybe she'll calm down. Maybe she won't. But we need people. So who am I to be upset about it? And my boss looks me in the face and says, no, she's Muslim. I don't want to work with a Muslim. That's scary. But that's because, one, probably the way she was raised. But also, I feel like people are just a lot, like, way too comfortable speaking like this. Like, way too comfortable saying these kinds of things. And, like, I'm your employee. Like, you should not be that comfortable telling me that.
Like it's common knowledge or something.
Yeah.
So, I was having a conversation similar to this with our dad.
Yeah.
And, we have military parents.
Very.
And so they've been, all over the globe. And they're probably some of the more in-depth people who might know, like, especially people in America, or I should say North America, who are kind of like, we're like shadowed by this media wall, right? That instills so much fear. And outside of that, like, you actually have to go to these places to really get a feel for what it's actually like, or take the time to speak and get to know these people, to know, like, what's the truth and what's not. And I feel like a lot of us today are starting to wake up. Don't get me started on the woke culture, because that's something I'm not here for.
I'm not here for it either. I probably have some, like, very controversial views, and that's okay.
Yeah. So I
just think that we should just, like, respect each other regardless of where we came from and who we are. Like, if you respect me, I'm going to respect you, and I'm not going to be like, oh, just because you're Muslim, I don't want to work with you because you're going to blow this place up. I'm sorry, what? Yeah. Like, you don't even know how she was raised. You don't know what kind of person she is, and what you're just going to assume that she's going to come blow great clips up. Are you serious? Please find something better to do. Like, why are we crying about this?
Yeah, so, and that just kind of, like, that broadens the horizon of what we're talking about to a much bigger scale, because, the world that we're living in right now, like, can you imagine, because of how the media operates? And yes, I am one of those. I don't trust the damn media.
Me neither.
Can you imagine being told for 3 years, like, constant lies that you believe, right? Yeah. That you have fallen into, or on the opposite side, you've decided that you're like, yeah, I don't know if I believe this shit. That doesn't make any sense. There's too many things that aren't adding up.
The mathing, babe.
Yeah.
No.
So imagine that you have been going through that for 3 years, and you either still believe the media.
Oh my God.
Right?
I hope not. I hope y'all are smart enough to not.
Or
I don't even watch the news.
You realize how awake you finally are, right? Yeah. That unblinded. And you can actually see it for what it is, and you're like, man, how long has this been happening?
Yeah.
So one way or the other, it's fucked up.
Yeah, because, like, the whole COVID thing, like, is that kind of what you're talking about for the
Yeah, and amongst a billion other things.
That was a big one. And that one, I will say, for the first 6 months, I was freaking terrified.
Right.
I was terrified, and then I got it, and I did everything they said you should do, like spray your grocery bags with Lysol.
Oh my God.
Wash your hands 1,000,000 times a day. Wear gloves. Wear gloves, babe. And then, like, what else did they freaking tell us? Wear your mask. And I did all those things. I actually even, like, ordered my food and then picked it up, Lysoled the bags, left them in the garage, brought them in, washed everything as I put it away, and I still got COVID. I still got it. Like, okay.
What was your favorite part?
Like, of the cleaning, or, like...
No, about the COVID.
Oh my gosh. I was actually kind of pissed because, like, I was like, oh my God, I got the COVID. I'm going to die. I remember, like, when I got tested, I was like, so how many days until it gets really bad? Like, if I get really bad, like, what are my odds? Like, looking at me and looking at my papers, like, if I die, like,
So you said this in the doctor?
yeah, I did. Oh my gosh. And I was like, so if we're talking about time frames, if I was to die based off of how long I've had this, if like my chances are there, okay, like, what's my time frame looking like? Because I was so convinced that I was gonna be a non-aliver. Okay, I swore. I was like, I'm gonna be the one to go. It's gonna be me. And so I was like, so how many days do you think I got? Pretty much is what I was looking at the dog. And he's like, well, you're kind of like 6 days in, you said, right? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, so when's my death?
No, you were like, yeah.
Oh, and then he's like, well, you seem fine. And I don't think you have anything to worry about. And I was
You're like, are you sure? Did you read my
I was like, should I come back in like 3 days? And he's like, nah, I think you're going to be fine. I'm like, all right, well, you know what? The moment I feel like I'm coming back, I'm on my way.
So when I got COVID, I was pissed, right? Because I had just gotten over something that literally did feel like I was dying, and it was not COVID.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I had pleurisy and all sorts of shit going on with my lungs, not COVID. And then finally get over that, then I get COVID. And I was mad. I was so mad because I couldn't taste anything. And it ruined my relationship with food. And I love food.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So I was just like, what's the point of eating?
Yeah.
Why am I even eating? I can't taste it.
And the most messed up part is that you don't want to eat it because you can't freaking taste it, but you aren't losing any weight.
Right?
Like, I'm practically starving. So, shed yourself.
Right? And like, I was drinking my morning coffee like I do every single day, and I just remember looking at it every single time I took a sip, and I was like, maybe I'll taste it this time. Nope. Maybe this one. Nope.
The only thing that I could taste was hot sauce.
But I taste anything.
I don't think I could really taste it. I think it was just like the burning sensation in the mouth that like felt so familiar that it was like I imagined what it tasted like, you know?
So, when your taste went away, was it like you just woke up and your taste was gone? Or like, were you in the middle of eating something and you're like, wait a second. Hold on. Oh, shit.
If I'm being honest, I think the sense of smell bothered me. Losing my sense of smell bothered me more than the not tasting food.
Oh, not me. I was here for that.
You were here.
Well, I have a super sensitive nose.
Oh, okay.
And so I was just like, I don't smell anything.
Well, what if you smell like shit?
I was okay with that because I didn't have to smell it.
You like, we ain't going nowhere anyways.
No, I mean, really, we weren't.
Yeah.
We were
We ain't got nowhere to go.
And it was the height of COVID, you know, so it's like you weren't allowed to go places anyway.
But I remember being, but I was so fucking pissed because I'm like, my strep throat is worse than this. Like when I have strep throat, I feel like I'm dying. Like I'm all like, I can't breathe and my body is so hot. And like, you're just like, fuck me. Like, you know, but then like you get the COVID and you're just like, oh, okay, I just can't, you know, do an activity for too long before I'm wiped out. Not, oh no, I have to sit down. I like sitting down.
Well, well, and then like everything after that became COVID.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, my nose is sniffly. It must be COVID.
Yeah. Or like you can't go to freaking work. Okay, I'm sorry, but I like to work. Okay, I like to sit down when I'm not at work. But when I'm at work, I want to be busy, okay?
I like to work and I like to sit down.
I like both. And so like I'm like freaking pissed because I'm like, dude, I just want to get back to work. Like I like to make this money. Like I like my money, okay? And like my money's being played with at this point. And like then they tell you like, oh, if you have any symptoms, you have to go home for a week. What? I have allergies. And you're going to be like, oh, you're sniffling and you have a little bit of a cough. I'm like, do you want me to get like a doctor's note letting you know that I'm like, I have allergies? Or like, do I just have to go home?
The asthma.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. So like, we can't have flaws now. Okay.
Oh yeah, that was also my favorite part. My other favorite part, you know, because I have a daughter that has, well, technically both of them have asthma, but my oldest has it the worst. And I do this because like my youngest, I'm pretty sure it was just the house we were living in,
Yeah.
because it has not affected her at all since then. But my oldest, she legitimately has it, and I was really worried about her getting it, and she never tested positive for it, even though her dad and I both had it. And that was the other thing that never made any sense to me. It's like, this is highly contagious. You need to wash your damn grocery bags.
Yeah. Lysol them.
But you can breathe on your family member and they won't get it. You know?
Absolutely not.
It just didn't make any sense.
Like, you need to
me.
hide in your room, and if not, everybody's gonna get it. And I'm all like, it's still the same air circulating through the whole entire house. I was shutting my bedroom door, keeping this from everybody. I don't understand. If it's that, if those spores are so tiny, it's getting through that door, babe. I'm gonna tell you what.
Well,
And my kids didn't test positive either. Me and my ex both got sick, and they didn't either.
well, unlike if you have asthma, it was supposed to be worse. But that's where I was going with this. So anytime we would go to the store, my oldest, who has legitimate asthma, who coughs a lot all the time, she was doing that at the store, and the way people just whip around and look at you like, you know,
how
like,
dare you bring a coughing person in this building?
it's just like everyone became afraid of everything. And yeah, so
You were literally, they were calling, like, people who didn't wear their masks, they were calling it bioterrorism.
yeah, I know.
And they were taking people to jail over that. Like, I was like, what in the actual hell is happening? Are you kidding? Because they coughed in the store? Sorry, ma'am, I'm going to have to take you, I'm going to have to take you to jail because you coughed 2 feet away from homeboy over here. Like, what? No. That's just ridiculous. Or the fact that they're paying us to take these vaccines. Babe, if they're working and they're protecting us, we would want to take them. You wouldn't have to pay us.
Or force us.
Or force us and like mandate it. Like, I'm sorry, I'll die first before I take that vaccine. I'm going to say that. I don't even care who hates me for it. I'll die first. You're going to put it in my dead body. That's what you can do. Like, no. I mean, other than the fact that it's probably going to destroy my insides anyways, so might as well be.
So, off of COVID,
Yeah.
I think we got a little far away, but good stuff. But
Way far off.
I kind of want to know a little bit more about you and your story, struggles, overcoming them, what you're still working on, more of your background. I mean, this whole thing is supposed to be like your outlook on things and your views on certain subjects, but and whatnot, and everyday conversation, but also just like more about you and your story.
So as a child, I'd probably say I was like super shy. I had a hard time finding friends. I was a nerd. People made fun of me. I was very bullied. Then junior high came and I became the bully. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take my power back. I'm going to smack with all of you.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Do you think that you became a bully because you were bullied?
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that I was just bullied at like school. I was probably no, not probably. I was bullied at home too. My upbringing isn't very normal. I went through a lot of like struggles and with that whole thing and the way I was raised for sure. And a lot of that trauma just kind of built up along with the trauma I was experiencing at school. It made me a very angry person and it made me very closed off. I will say that there are some good things that came from it because like I don't get embarrassed easily. I mean, I still get embarrassed. I'm just saying I don't get embarrassed easily. I have very little shame. Like, I'm just going to be who I am without regrets. Like, I'm okay with being me. Probably more than I think I would have ever if I wouldn't have experienced some of the things that I've gone through.
Do you think that happened like later on in life, or do you think it was just you know, like you spent so much time trying to be a certain version that you eventually were just like, well, fuck that.
Yeah, definitely over time. I mean, I still think that like it's still something that's still like happening, and the things that I'm still going through are making me even more okay with who I am than like, because even I think I was so certain that I was like totally okay without like I didn't need anybody's approval. But like the older I get, I realize how like I keep on becoming more and more less worried about like what people think of me um and what they approve of and what they don't. Because at the end of the day, like I know I'm the only person who knows what I truly need and want. I just have to be able to figure out how to feel and know that myself. But I do have like my few certain people that I trust, and I'll ask for their opinion, but it's because I respect their opinion, not because I need their approval,
Right.
you know? And I think that's really important. Like I feel like a lot of people are searching for that approval rather than finding somebody to confide in that you respect and can like help you like work through your feelings. I
Right.
think that's something I really learned to like have and really love having in my life. Having those people, like, you know, you're one of them. Our parents are some of them. Tiana is one of them. And then I have like a couple other friends, but like anybody else, they say something and I'm like, brush it off. I didn't even hear what you said. Like, you know? So I would definitely say that's something that I've really come to terms with, like being okay with. But I also my constant need for approval did lead me into the marriage that I was in. So even though that 8 years was not what I wanted and probably not what I deserved, I definitely am trying to see it in the view as it was something that I did need for my own personal growth, no matter how painful it was. It was something I probably needed.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely feel like, you know, the things that we go through, we can either allow them to alienate and turn us into victims, or they can teach us something valuable, um, even when they hurt. I mean, because we learn a lot through pain.
A lot.
And that's why, like, I truly believe in finding a way to find strength in vulnerability, because that's something that, like, I think we grew up like, you gotta be like tough and strong, you know, rub some dirt in it.
Yeah.
Don't show your feelings. And it's not
Yeah.
like our parents ever said like, don't show your feelings. It was just more like,
That's the
that's how
message
they
behind
were.
Yeah, it's the message behind what they were saying without realizing that's what they were saying.
Well, yeah, but they were also very like super tough,
Yeah.
you know, like
They're
on
military.
themselves, right?
Yeah.
And so over time it made me like, anyone who betrayed me or whatever, like I just built up such a thick wall that like I stopped trusting anybody, and I didn't allow any feelings to come through,
Oh, that's
you
right.
know?
Yeah.
And so finding that vulnerability, you know, just enough of it to where you can still experience life to its fullest. Because again, you got to learn through pain and love and all of those emotions. And if you're blocking any of them, you're blocking some of them too.
Yeah, well, and then you're blocking the good things too. Like you're blocking a lot of good things from entering your life because you're not allowing any new experiences in, like you said. Like I would say that I definitely still struggle with my vulnerability. I've been hurt so much. I wouldn't say I struggle with it entirely, but because I still let a lot of people back in that I probably shouldn't. But it's just because like I feel like we all make mistakes, and I've been one to make so many of them that I know like there's room to change. The hard part is like figuring out whether or not that person actually did change, or if they're just trying to get you back because they needed you.
Right.
They
For
need
sure.
you for something. And so differentiating that is really hard. So you have to be trusting in order to figure out whether they're there for the good reasons, the right reasons, or not.
That's true. Yeah, no, I mean, when you first said that, I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, I definitely don't let anyone who hurt me back in, but the man I'm married to probably hurt me the most, and I let him back in
And look
for
at
good
that.
reasons, though.
I know, and you guys are a really great power couple. So I'm glad. I mean, I love that you let him back in. I think our whole family is just loves him.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a good
But he
one.
did have to do a lot of growing and changing to get there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I'm kind of a prove it person, you know?
Yeah.
You got to prove it.
And he did.
Yeah.
I gotta give him that. Because not a lot of people can, especially like depending on your story. Like, I know that, like, with my past, like, I got into drugs. Okay, I'm an addict. I've been clean for almost 10 years. And I know what kind of person that made me. And being that person, you have a lot of things that you have to prove to people to show that you've changed, to show that you're not going to do those things that you used to do. And like, I think it's really hard because like you also are like battling those things within yourself, like knowing that you were that person and having to live with that, knowing that you did these things to people that you genuinely, truly love. And you have to live with that.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's really hard. And so like, if you can prove it and you can change with all those obstacles in your way, like, I definitely think that makes you like a stronger person. And I know that that's made me a really like a stronger person because I've had to do a lot of self-forgiveness in the process of all these things. Like, I've had to forgive myself for a lot of things I don't think I would forgive a lot of other people for, you know?
Right.
Because I clearly didn't respect myself or my body or anything. I didn't respect anyone.
Yeah, I'd like to get you and Justin on a podcast together one of these times because he's also a recovering addict. He's been clean for
It's been a while now.
probably 4 years now, somewhere along there. And he's also that's a whole other story we'll save for another time. So stay tuned.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so so when did you get into drugs?
So, you know how like people are like, oh, that's a gateway drug or whatever. I think it really just does depend on the person. Because if we're being honest, it was smoking cigarettes and alcohol that led me down my path. You know, like, I know it sounds stupid and people are like, oh no, that doesn't lead you to it. This isn't your story, babe. This is mine. But it started there. And I'm like, oh, smoking cigarettes. I liked the rebelliousness of it. I liked how I was getting away with it. And like, I was doing it and nobody was catching me. 333. I've been seeing that a lot lately. But like that's kind of what started it was that rebelliousness, like that thing that just those little things that were like, oh, like what else can I get away with? Like, what can I do? Oh, these make me feel this way. I wonder what these other things will make me feel. And so like, then it brings up that like the curiosity of it, you know, like the curiosity of like, what can I get away with? What can I do? What do these things feel like? And then the more that the people that I loved around me kept hurting me, I wanted something to cover those feelings, I guess, essentially. So like, when I did Oxycontin, that was probably the one, other than ecstasy, that was one of the ones that I did the longest and did the most of.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, it is. In doses. But so like Oxycontin, I did that one. That one literally numbed me. It like, I was literally like hanging out with my friends and I'm like,
Yeah, I know
nodding
all
out.
too well about all that.
Yeah, and it's disgusting. And like, I mean, I was taking it intravenously. Like, I was doing it the hardest way you possibly could. Getting straight to the point with that one, you know, like I was just like, we're going to feel it right now. I didn't want to have to wait for it. I also didn't have a really good friend who also got me into it. And she's like, I know your heart is broken and I know what can fix that. I'm like, what is it? Because I am literally feel like I'm dying from a heartbreak because I'm young and that's what I felt. And so then she's like, yeah, this cure all, baby, let me get the syringe ready for you. Okay. And then ecstasy, I also like the way that made me feel. It made me really happy. The only downside is that it made me so happy that when it was no longer in my system, I was so sad. And then that's when I was not being a good person. So then I felt like I constantly needed to be taking it, so that I could just keep those good high feelings. And so then I would be going on like days of taking it. And then I'm like, have like these huge amounts of feel goods for days. And then, oh no, I don't have money. I can't get my drugs. So now I have to be really, really freaking sad until I have more money. So then I start selling my clothes and you start selling your stuff. start selling anything that you could possibly get away with selling without somebody knowing. I've never sold anybody else's belongings. I always just sold my own. Or like I would go to the bank. At one point, they would let you pull money out of your account even if you didn't have any money in it.
So you would overdraft.
I would overdraft the heck out of my accounts just to buy these. Because like a freaking OxyContin, it was $1 a mil. And we were getting 80 milligrams. Like, so $80 a pill. And that's between two people. But like, we kind of like were taking turns on that one. Ecstasy isn't as expensive, so it wasn't as hard. It was a little bit easier to get your hands on for one. And like two, it was cheaper, so you could purchase more at a time. Yeah. But yeah, and then I don't even...
So would you say it started from heartbreak?
Yeah. And not just from like heartbreak of somebody breaking up with me, but like the heartache from like my own family. Yeah.
So you've kind of brushed on like you've just bumped into it a couple of times about family and your upbringing, and you know, it really seems like that's the root of a lot of these things that you've kind of like just touched on, and you're just kind of like covering it up with a blanket.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Is that something you're ready to elaborate on?
I will brush on it a little bit, just because I do love my mom. I love her so much, and I don't ever want to hurt her. She's my mom. She'll always be my mom. But there was a lot that went on with that. She has done a lot of changing, and I do see it, and I do feel like she is showing regret, and I do see that she's trying to make up for these things. I see it. And so like I don't want to like pull her completely under with this if she ever saw it, but I'll brush on it a little bit. My mom was a type of parent that did use a lot of manipulation tactics. She'd be like, oh yeah, you can go out, you can go hang out with your friends. But then when I'm out with my friends, she would decide that she didn't want me to be out with my friends. So then there would be repercussions for me going out with my friends, even though she said I could go out with my friends. And then I would get home and she'd be like, well, what if this happened to me? And what if this? And what if that? You're so irresponsible. Like, you just don't care about anybody. And like, all you do is care about yourself. And I'm like, wow, that's not true. I'm just trying to be a kid. But like, you know, so there was like a lot of like instances like that happening. One time me and her got into a big fight, and I'm not a person to back down. And like I said, I'm very aggressive. I got in a lot of fights. I became a bully myself. Like, I fought guys. Like, I don't care who you were. Like, if you made me upset, I was punching you in the face. It's just what it was. So I would never hit my parents, and I would never hit my family members. That's just something I don't do. But I mean, I don't fight at all now, but that's not the point. I just wanted to get that across. That's not who I am anymore. So I remember we got into this huge fight. I was working. I had called in sick for the day, but then I ended up feeling better, and I asked if I could go hang out with my girlfriend. And then my mom said no, and I was like, well, I'm working, and I'm helping pay these bills, so I'm going to go out if I want. She got in my face, and I was like, you know, she's hit my sister, you know, a lot growing up, so I was ready for it. I was like, well, then hit me then. Like, go for it. I just got in her face. I was like, do it. Like, I don't have time for you to sit here and threaten me. Like, if you're going to raise your hand at me, you better hit me. Like, that's just kind of where I was at. I was like, just do it. And then she started hitting herself. I don't think a lot of people realize like how traumatizing that can be to like a 16-year-old. But it was very traumatizing, and it's something I would never want to see again. And I wish I didn't have to live that moment. And I was really shocked. I didn't know what to do.
It was almost, I mean, sorry for interjecting, but it almost seems like it was more manipulation.
It is.
You know?
It is. And so she literally is like throwing her head into the like door frames and like smacking her head on the door frames because like those can do some damage. And then she takes this like fan, like one of those tower fans, and she takes it and she breaks it on the top of her head. And then she went into the banister of the stairs and she threw her knee into it and put a big old hole in there, and she was just like slapping and punching herself. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, is this really happening right now? And my little sister's 10 years younger than me, so I'm 16 and that means she's 6. And she's watching this whole thing, and I'm watching this whole thing, and I'm like sitting here, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So the first thing I do is I like run to the bathroom, and I call our older sister Kayla, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's happening right now. Like, mom literally just beat the shit out of herself in front of me and Tiana. Like, what do I do? Because like I'm confused. I don't know what's happening. I'm like, you're like, why are you hurting yourself? And so then she ends up calling the police, and she told the police that I did it. She had a conversation with Tiana, my 6-year-old sister, before the police had gotten there, and had pretty much trained her,
Coerced her.
yeah, to be like, hey, she's the one who hit me. Not I wasn't hitting myself. She was hitting me. I remember the police officers came in. Of course, I'm rebellious, like I said, and so like they're like, well, tell me your side of the story. And I was like, dude, I'm a kid. She's an adult. Like, I don't even know why you're asking me. You're not gonna believe me anyways. I was like, so you might as well just put me in handcuffs. Like, I'm not stupid. Like, and I'm ready for my consequences whenever, you know? So I was just like, just do it. Like, just take me. And they're like, no, that's not how it happens. That's not how it works at all. I tell them the story, and then 5 minutes later, another officer comes up, and he's like, turn around and put your hands behind your back. And I was like, what? I was like, so why'd you guys ask me to tell my story? Because you clearly didn't listen. I told you guys were going to believe her over me. And then I went to juvie for the whole weekend, and I had to think about everything that happened. I had to picture everything that happened and think about exactly what happened. My mom literally just beat the shit out of herself and called the cops and told them it was me. And I had to live with that for an entire weekend all by myself in a cell by myself. And that's like a whole nother like trauma. And like I had to, like, it's just like you're sitting there every day for the whole entire weekend thinking about what happened. It kind of messed me up a little bit. And I'd say that probably really pushed me into that's the first thing that probably pushed me into the harder drugs. It was that betrayal. Yeah. And then and then the girlfriend that I was in a relationship with at the time was also very manipulative and very gaslighting and very physically abusive, which in return, I became a reactive abuser in order to defend myself, and I started hitting her back eventually. Eventually, I got so tired of it that I was hitting her back. I was tired of it. And I needed to protect myself. Like, you can't just keep hurting me and me do nothing about it. And so then I was with her. She was always cheating on me. She was always abusing me in some kind of way. And I did that for like 5 years. And then so that whole allowing myself to be in that relationship with that person is like a whole other trauma that I put myself through, though. Because I had a choice. I knew who she was pretty much immediately after we started dating. Like, she didn't really hold back from showing her true colors. It maybe took a month. So, like, I chose to stay in that for 5 years. And I know that also, like, you can get addicted to it. And yeah, I probably was, and I probably did. But I just wish that I would have pulled myself out of that sooner, because I know that that only dug me deeper into my problems. Yeah.
So, the person that you recently got divorced from, were they also manipulative?
Yes, very much so. Very gaslighting as well. But I married a woman after 7 years. When I love somebody, I've always loved them more than I love myself, which is not healthy. You should always love yourself first. I'm going to say that because I wish I did. But I was just like, I paid more attention to his wants and needs than I paid attention to mine. So when the whole transitioning thing happened and like people were doing it, I could tell, like, by watching other people's stories, that that's probably something he wanted to do. And it was something that we kind of brushed a topic on before, but I was like struggling to come to terms with it. But I was just like, you know what? I love my person enough to look past this. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I love my person enough to, like, whatever they need to do to make themselves happy, like, I'm on board. Like fuck it, let's do this. Like, I'll struggle with you. This is gonna be really freaking hard, so I just hope that you're gonna ride through this with me as hard as I want to ride through it with you. I learned that they were not gonna ride through the storm with me like I was ready to ride through the storm with them. But I mean, he's just one of those people that everything, he was always a victim. Like, I would just be like, hey, like, babe, this chicken is like a little rubbery. If you did this and this when you cooked it, like, you won't have this happening. And then he'd be like, oh my gosh, you don't like anything I do. You just hate everything I do. I can never do anything right. I'm like, I mean, I was just being helpful, but if that's how you want to take it, I guess I'm sorry. Like, what? And so, like, it was just like, it could be something so small. It could just be something so small. Or like he'd come home from work and he'd be like, I had scrubbed the banister, I had scrubbed the doors and the walls, and everything was done. And he'd come home and be like, so what'd you do today? I'm like, I cleaned the whole house. What do you mean? I literally got on my hands and knees for like 50% of my day.
Well, and you were working a full-time job yourself.
Well, this is when I wasn't working. So I
Okay.
was doing extra cleaning. So I was cleaning even more than I was before that. And I do like to clean. So like, it was hard. Or like if I was going through depression, like me being depressed wasn't okay. So like if I stopped cleaning for like a week because I would rather be in bed and pretend like I didn't exist in this world for, for a little bit, that would be great. But for him, it was just unexcusable because I needed to be perfect.
So, I'm just going to shift gears just for a
Yeah.
quick second. You've brought up depression a couple of times now. Would you say that it happens like pretty regularly? Predictably?
I would definitely say I do have more of like the seasonal depression. Wintertime, I struggle the most. I do have other moments where it's bad as well, but it's definitely not predictable. I don't know when it's going to happen unless it's like wintertime. Then I know I'm going to be sad majority of winter. But like when it comes to like any of the other times, I never know when it's going to happen. I do feel it like coming, like I do feel it creeping up on me, and I feel it because like I'll just like randomly like listen to the song that I listen to all the time because I like to listen to sad music too. Okay. And so I'll be like listening to it, and then, or like a love song, even just like a love song, and I'll just be driving home and I'll start crying. And I'm like, oh crap, here we go again. Here it is, it's coming. And like I'll know, like that will be one of the things is like I'm just like crying for no reason, and I'm like, oh, it's creeping up, like it's coming on, and it's coming on hard, because I'm crying over a love song right now.
I mean, I can relate. I struggle from seasonal depression pretty bad. I mean, my parents also do. I mean, I know that my biological dad, he also struggled from that. It's one of the few things that he and I talked about. But I do know just from experimenting that there are like things that dramatically help with it that are not necessarily prescription drugs, because
I don't like prescription anyways.
I know that, and I don't either.
Oh, hell no.
And completely legal supplements at the store.
Yeah.
Sunny Mood. I can't think of the actual
Isn't it like,
brand, but Sunny Mood is one of them, and it's got like vitamin D. Because I swear to God, people don't realize how big of a deal vitamin D is. Not just for your mood, but like on a cellular level. I mean, like it'll help you, I mean, if you're depleted of it, you won't lose weight. Like, yeah, I know. You didn't think that was connected, but I found that out. Because my levels were so low, I had to take like 10,000 IUs a day, like prescribed.
damn.
Yeah. So it's a huge deal. It's a very big deal. So make sure you're getting your vitamin D. Anyway, brought to you by, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So.
But
if somebody does want her, to promote something, you just let her know she's got you.
absolutely. But yeah, no, I don't know. Like I just heard you bring up depression a couple of times, and I was just like, I think a lot of people deal with it, even if it's not like clinically diagnosed. Depression's real, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think
once you're there, you feel like you're not going to come out of it.
Yeah, no, you don't. You just feel like it feels like forever.
And it's just like, why? Why are we here?
What's
Why
the
even
point?
bother?
Yeah.
So, and it sucks, and it's
It freaking does. Mine brings on bouts of insomnia, so like I might get
which
an hour
then
or
makes
two
it
of sleep,
worse.
which makes it worse, and then brings on anxiety.
Yep.
And brings on other unwanted thoughts
Yeah.
and other unwanted things.
Yeah, we'll have a whole episode Okay, stay tuned. We'll have a whole other episode, a part 2 with Ashley Harley, in regards to
Mental health.
OCD, mental health, anxiety, intrusive thoughts, the whole works.
Yeah, because we really do need to talk about it, because I'm so tired of people calling impulsive thoughts intrusive thoughts. Like,
Yeah.
if you have intrusive thoughts, you know how irritating and frustrating it is to see somebody act out an impulsive thought and call it intrusive.
Yeah. And the fact that, like, intrusive thoughts, like, they can destroy your life. But we'll just...
Really, like, I wish it was as simple as slamming my hand into some eggs. Please sign me up for that intrusive thoughts, because what I have, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Can I have that version instead?
Yeah, I know. Like, but since we're kind of briefly on that topic, do you think, because we both dabbled, I mean, you dabbled a lot further into the dabbling than I ever dabbled, but do you think that the dabbling and the drug use is part of what contributes to your
Mental health
issues?
Absolutely. I probably depleted way too many things, probably why I'm so unhappy, probably why I have a hard time staying happy. Probably why I'm always searching for happy feelings or love feelings is because I'm probably depleted a lot of those things on my own from drug use.
Well, I can also say that, like, I definitely feel the same. However, there was a short time in my life that I dabbled a little too often in mushrooms.
Oh.
And that was like the happiest period of my life. My anxiety was gone. OCD did not exist, which I suffer from pretty severely.
Severely, yeah.
And my life was just completely different when I was on mushrooms. And I mean, it's not like I was even eating that many, like, that often. I was doing it a little too close together than, I probably suggested, but I wasn't having, like, tons of it.
Yeah.
So not more than microdosing for sure, but
recommend microdosing. Recommend that and nothing else.
well, I'm not really going to recommend doing anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You're right. Don't do it. See where my brain goes. See how bad that I'm a bad person.
No,
I'm just kidding. No, that's where my mind goes, because, like, just being an addict, just like, you know what, if you do it, you're gonna just do this. And
do the good thing.
Yeah. And then you're like, wait, no, don't do it at all.
Well, but where I was going with that is they've done so many studies now that, like, they're even in some places, I don't know exactly where, but they're actually, like, treating people with anxiety, depression, PTSD, OCD, all the D's, with psilocybin.
Which is from the mushrooms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, obviously I was onto something.
Obviously. You were. You're like, wow, this shit makes you real happy.
But, it was so much more than just being happy. It was just like, it was almost like I felt free.
Yeah.
Because the problem with OCD and intrusive thoughts is, like, you're trapped inside your own fucking head.
And there's, like, no escaping it.
There's
It's like you're in a
escape.
maze and there's no exit.
And you're the problem.
Yeah. You're the maze.
How do you fix a problem when you're the problem? Like, it's so...
And they're like, and then, like, and it's so funny because, like, we tell ourselves, like, we did do the research, or, like, even you told me, you're like, you just tell yourself this, and I'm all like, okay, and, like, you're like, yeah, it's gonna work, and then I'm sitting there and I'm trapped in it, and I'm all like, know this, I'm like, nope, no, this is a problem.
Well, it's funny because when I called them my spirals, and it's when it gets super, super out of control and to the point where I'm just like, I don't even want to be alive.
Yeah.
But when I'm in those moments, people are always like, you just need to do what you did before, or you just need to tell yourself this, or you have free will, or whatever. And it's like, when they're telling me that, I'm just like, wow, fucking thank you. Like, I didn't already know, or I didn't already try. But it's like, but it's weird because then one day I'll hear the exact same message or I'll say it to myself, and all of a sudden it clicks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then everything's fine again.
yeah.
You know, and then I'm on the road to fixing it, and, you know, life is normal again. So it's like, I don't fucking know. I don't know what the magical, like, this is how you fix
No,
yourself.
because when you're in it, sometimes you're ruining friendships. Sometimes you're you're just destroying yourself,
Or just relationships with family members in general.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Whatever.
you're really messing some shit up with that. It can
For sure.
really, it can really mess your life up.
Yeah.
So
And that will be another episode. We
it's
can
gonna
go
have
into
to be,
all that.
It's gonna get so deep. We're gonna need like a whole episode for just mental health.
Yeah, well, we'll have a whole episode on just like our intrusive thoughts.
Yes, and what they are and like how they work and situations we've gone through, I think would be really helpful so that people can differentiate impulsive and intrusive.
That, and like some people can be like, oh, you know, nothing's wrong with me, or like, yeah, something is wrong, but it's not your fault.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, because we tend to just like put ourselves down, like there's just something so seriously wrong with us that like nobody else is experiencing those things, especially because when you have those moments, you're not like openly sharing them with anybody. Like, hey, guess what? I'm fucking crazy.
You want to hear what my brain told me today?
Hell no, that shit's embarrassing.
It's scary too, because you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, what if I do tell somebody and they're like, you can't take care of yourself or your children anymore? Like, that's always my fear.
Yeah, they're like, so CPS is on the way right now. And also be prepared because we're about to put you in a white jacket. So you're like, ooh.
Yeah, that's always the big fear. It's just like, how crazy am I gonna sound?
Probably really fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, when I tell people stories, like some of them are like smaller on the smaller side, and I can share those ones pretty easily just to like give somebody like an idea, because like those ones aren't like super bad where like they're actually kind of funny thinking about it, but like living in that moment, it wasn't funny.
No.
But like thinking about it now, I'm all like, that's just silly. And then some of them you're just like, yeah, I should never share that with anyone.
Well, and there's also that fine line between like intrusive thoughts and just like irrational thoughts.
Yes.
You know, because like we've had irrational thoughts since we were kids.
Very, very. We're just ridiculous.
Well, I mean, like, think about the fire situation.
I know. We really thought we were onto something though. I mean, other than the fact that if there is a fire going to be in your house, don't hide in a blanket fort.
Yeah, that was our big plan. Well, that and you know, having, you know, only the essentials, the important things.
Like our chapstick that we made by hand and we can sell.
Well, you know, if the house burns down, we're gonna have to find a way to make money
We will have to build these bones back up.
when we're 6.
With our homemade chopstick.
Because we're gonna sell those for.
And they were so small. We're like, we could probably sell this for like $20 because it's like homemade and like fresh ingredients.
What was fresh ingredients back at that time?
Everything. It wasn't bought like that, you know, like we freshly put it together. We freshly put that shit together. It was a fresh batch.
Not fresh like your local farmer, but fresh like we just made it. We just stirred it around in this little pot.
With our little droppers. Oh, those were good.
And we didn't skimp on the glitter, you know.
Oh no, baby, we needed all the glitter to go with our glitter jeans.
Yeah. And your pleather pants.
And your velvet skirts.
Mm-hmm. I loved velvet. I still love velvet.
Velvet's good. Velvet is good.
I think it's making a comeback.
It is. 100%. I have been seeing so much velvet stuff, and I was actually thinking the other day I found something, and I was like, I need to get me an Allie matching ones of that. Like, I need one. I was gonna ask you, was it green and maroon?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what I need. I need
It was
to
like
make sure.
the dark green, like,
Yeah, like
Christmas
forest.
almost.
Oh, Christmas. Okay. And then the maroon. Yeah, because like if I'm gonna get matching, they're gonna be matching in the sense that they're velvet in the same style, but they're gonna be like the different velvet color. And I think I always wore the green one, and you always wore the maroon one, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Our obsession with velvet skirts goes deep.
And dresses.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the green velvet. Oh
yeah, that's the one that's in my head
Oh,
right
that's
now.
the one you're thinking of. I was thinking of the Asian velvet skirt.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We had these really cool Asian matching, like,
Do you think that-
shirt and skirt outfits that we
think-
wore to every nice occasion and wedding.
Every.
Yes.
I think that you should find pictures of them and just like pop them up on here for everybody.
I'm going to have to search for them. But I also really like that one picture that comes to mind. I obviously wasn't using their homemade chapstick yet.
Damn it.
Because I had that big ring of chapped lips. And I'm just like, you know.
Oh, that one's so cute. I
My
love that.
spaghetti strap dress.
Oh, snap. Yes. The spaghetti strap. I don't even know how we got here.
Yeah. I mean, well, we were talking about chapstick,
Chopstick to velvet dresses.
but the chapstick thing came up because of the fire.
This makes so much sense.
So much sense. Just so you know, we were prepping. We were like life prepping every single night in the event that a fire would happen in the middle of the night.
Every night.
So yeah, that was our child.
I think we also put like books in there with us too. So
Yes.
anything extremely flammable we had in our blanket fort in case of fire.
But we had only the necessities packed. We only had 4 boxes and 3 big huge bags that we had to make sure to get out of the fire every night.
That we were definitely gonna get out of the blanket fort before it had combusted.
Well, you know, I needed that art set.
You did!
The pink one. You know, the pink one, the plastic one.
I'm trying not to laugh too hard for the microphone, and I'm only sounding like a freaking toad.
A toad.
Toad. I'm croaking. That art set was pretty legit, though. We're just. Oh, no. I think my favorite memory, since we're going down this road, it's not mental health because we're really fun people, and if you ever get the chance to be blessed with our presence, you're welcome. Okay, now I see why people
Funny people, maybe.
Yeah, so this is probably why people call me cocky. I'm seeing it right now. What was our show called?
Oh my god, I'm so glad you're bringing this up. Oh.
What's our show called?
Don and Ron Show.
Yes, Don and Ron. Well, I was going to say the Mike and Ike show, but I was like, that's Candy. That's definitely Candy.
Let me set the tone. Okay, so the year is... Is it even 2000 yet? Or is it still like...
I think it was 8, so 1998.
Oh, shit.
Your face! Ooh.
It just seems like so long
So
ago.
glad that this is being recorded because that face, epic.
Okay, so the year's 1998, roughly.
Roughly a great estimate.
And we just got a brand new computer for our house. It's a big backed one, you know, like a big old booty Judy backed one.
On that
And it
dial-up
has-
internet.
I thought it was a webcam, but it wasn't. It was just a little speaker on the top. Man, we made use of that. We didn't even have internet, okay? We
No.
just had this big ass computer, but no internet.
None.
But we decided to take it upon ourselves, and this is kind of where this all started, if you really think about it.
Oh, so we didn't have dial-up internet?
Not in Sand Hollow.
That's right, because it doesn't work out there. That's right.
Well, I mean, it probably does now, but does dial-up even exist? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I hope not. Oh, I hated that part.
I know, that's always the worst.
You're like, just fucking connect already. I don't want to hear your mouth.
So we have this big ass computer, no internet, but it's got a little speaker. So, you know, what are we going to do with that? What are we going to do with this big computer with the speaker? I don't even know why our parents got a computer. It was like they just wanted one.
Yeah, they're like, this is what everyone's buying?
This is what we need. Yep. It's an investment.
As it's sitting in the fucking dump right now.
Yeah, for sure. With all of our old recordings, maybe someone out there in the deep wide web managed to salvage this bad boy, and they have episodes of the Dawn and Ron show. But we created our own. I don't even want to say it was like a radio show. It was almost like a TV show that, like, so really olden day style. It was a TV show without any video recording.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
It was very good.
And it was like, I can't even think about the things that we would talk about, but we would have full-on episodes.
I'm really proud of our intro.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
This is the Dawn.
The Dawn and Ron show!
Yes! I could get the beginning, but I couldn't think of it. I don't remember who was Dawn and who was Ron, though. I think I was Dawn and you were Ron, right? Or was I Ron?
I don't know.
Do you feel like a Ron? Or do you feel like a Dawn?
I think it was Dawn.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think I was Ron.
I don't know.
You've always been a little bit of a leader, though, so your name probably definitely went first.
No. Yeah, that does sound like me. Yeah. It's like, no, let me use the microphone first.
Because it's my name first, and I'm Dawn.
Probably.
It's fine.
You know, my oldest is just like me, and I'm just like, stop controlling everything. I'm like, gosh damn it, I'm controlling you, controlling everything. I gotta stop.
It's fine. Just natural leader. It's not a bad quality.
If that's what you want to call it.
Leadership qualities. Maybe they don't bother me because I grew up with you. I don't know.
I don't know. I like to think that I'm like simmering down a little bit, but
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, the Dawn and Ron show. It was
This is the Dawn and I can't even do that voice anymore.
Well, we were both men. I don't know why we decided to be old, like not old, but like we just wanted to be middle-aged men when we were kids.
It's like, I'm 8 years old, but I actually want to be a 40-year-old virgin.
And we were like, it was almost like a home improvement episode. You know what I mean? But it was, I don't know. It was unique.
I even think that we'd be like, hey guys.
How are you doing today? Today on the Dawn and Ron show.
Yeah. It was pretty good.
But that was like the start to us having a show.
I just want you to think about this for a moment. I really think that if we were born in the right time, okay, I believe that we'd be influencers because, like, based off of the content we made when we were younger, like, our Vine would have been poppin'.
Vine, yeah. Does Vine still, what?
No.
Is that real?
Vine, it was a thing. So it's before, before TikTok became so Musical.ly became TikTok. And before Musical.ly happened, there was Vine.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like that little brief bit of history.
Yeah, right. I just learned this myself, though, so. But I'm just saying, like, we would have had some really good content. I think that we would have ended up being influencers because we were so weird.
Meh.
And people eat that up.
We could have shaped the world.
With our Dawn and Ron show.
Well, we could have shaped the world to a different perspective than some of the stuff that they have out there right now.
Oh, this is
but
true.
I sound like an old person when I say stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, the kids today, they just smurf. No, it really is. That's what segued way to, like, I mean, remember when we got our karaoke machine?
Yes.
It had the cassette player in it and a record option, and that was when we first started recording shit.
I know.
We even figured out a way to rewind and record at the same time to alter our voices.
Yes. And so, like, if you guys would like us to drop our first single, let Allie know.
Well, like, and we did the full bit. We played music. Like, we had a whole radio show, okay, that we had on cassette. And I swear to God, I hope there was one.
Say my name, say my name.
Well, we actually played the songs, you know? And then we would record it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would make our own commercials. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got down on that. We made the most use out of the things that we got.
We really did. And we had a good time.
Yeah. The good old days.
For sure.
And our home workouts, nothing will ever beat those. Like, I have a hard time going to the gym because I'm like, why would I do that when I could do a home workout?
See, and my big thing, and it's something that I am working on now, but it's just like, I always feel like, even if I know no one's looking at me, I feel like everybody's looking at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to fuck this up just because people are looking at me.
Oh, well, my problem is that I am most definitely going to fuck it up because I really don't know what I'm doing, and everyone's going to see it. And my luck, I feel like my luck is somebody will be recording me. I feel like that's just my luck.
I was just trying to imagine anything. But
Oh my gosh, I don't even know how it brings me to this topic. But talking about, like, caring about people's approval, do you remember when I got that like trifold wallet from the women's section, and I would carry it around in my back pocket, and we went to the rec center? And it's so funny because I have to be so scarred by this experience for me to still remember it.
I don't really remember it.
I remember we were at the payphone, and I think we were calling our parents to, like, come get us or something, or, like, maybe ask them for something. I don't remember what we were doing, but we were at the payphone, and I had my little wallet in my back pocket, and these two boys, like, our age, like, came up, and he's like, that's like a guy's wallet. Why does she have a guy's wallet in her back pocket? Like, does she think she's a guy? Like, that's what boys do. And I was like, and I think I, like, remember, like, going to you and I was like, do you think this is a boy's wallet? And you're like, no, we got it from the girls section. Ashley, something so weird. Like, you just looked at me like I was crazy. Like, you know where we got it. Like,
this is a boy's wallet.
I was so upset about it. How dare you call my women's trifold wallet in my bag pocket a boy wallet? How am I, like, I have to be so scarred from that I remember the story.
I know. I have memories like that too, and I'm just like, why do I even care?
Yeah, why am I embarrassed?
Like, they probably don't remember that.
No, they probably do not remember the girl with the Harry Potter glasses and Harry Potter haircut. Walking around with the boy. They probably do. Now that I think about it, they probably do remember that. Yeah, you remember that one girl? With the hair?
Was it a girl? I'm not sure. She had short hair.
Do you remember that human that we saw that looked like Harry Potter?
Dude, is that what you were going for?
No! My mom gave me a mullet. I asked for this haircut, and it was like a bi-layer haircut, so it, like, had, like, the hair, and it, like, flipped out. It was like think of, like, Stepford Wives, okay? Mm-hmm. And it had, like, the bottom length would, like, curl out, and then it had a top layer that was, like, a bob that was cut on top of it, okay? And it was, like, disconnected, and so it had, like, 2 layers. And I saw it. Bookers everywhere. Cute. Anyways, so I wanted that haircut, and my mom gave me a mullet. And I had that in my class picture.
Okay, but
I still have evidence.
what about
the Harry Potter? That's where I'm going.
Okay.
So then I had this mullet, and I was like, Mom, like, everybody made fun of me, and I had to go to school like this, and I had to take a class picture. Like, I was like, I hate you. She's like, all right, we'll cut it. And so I'm like, all right. So then me picking another a really cute haircut. I pick the pixie where, like, there's just, like, more hair up here and it's just, like, super voluminous. And my mom, when she saw that picture, she envisioned, she imagined Harry Potter. And
That was the solution to the mullet problem.
I have these pictures in storage. I can stop by there so you can slip them in here if you want.
The one picture that keeps going through my head is that one.
In my yellow pajama
Yes.
shirt.
And you're just like,
And my hair's like this. And I have my pink Harry Potter glasses. So they were metal frames though, okay? And they were like metallic pink. With my Harry Potter haircut.
oh my God.
My mom clearly didn't love me. That doesn't say love at all.
Oh man. I never pictured it as Harry Potter until you said that. So now I'm just like, gosh damn. You're just a little mini Harry Potter.
I was. And the
And then your trifold wallet now is just all making sense. Why does she have a trifold wallet that's like a boy's? She's got a boy's haircut too. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, early 90s, it was like, that was not okay.
No. So like that's why I got bullied on though, guys. Like, just imagine these haircuts I had. With my Harry Potter glasses. And my Harry Potter haircut, yeah. Yeah, I was set up.
Yeah, that's rough.
I know. It's very traumatizing. Who wants to be friends with that?
I would have.
You were. You were my only friend. What do you...
Oh, man. You know...
That friendship came with love and sister relationship too, so we're good. I got it all, I guess. But
between me and my big old chapped lip ring and your Harry Potter hair, we were a dynamic duo.
we were. Oh my gosh! And this leads me to. Okay, then this is where my head's going. Danny. The girl who wore her thong sticking out her
Oh, no,
pants
no, no,
riding her
no.
bike.
Oh,
no. Oh, no. Yeah. And we were so jealous of her wearing her thong panties outside of her jeans. Why were we so jealous of that? Why? Why were we like, wow, I really wish I could wear my thong. Well, I wish I could have thongs. So that I could wear my thongs outside of my jeans like that.
And now that we're adults, we're just like, why the fuck were her parents letting her wear that?
Yeah. I will never understand. But that's always like how I'll remember that girl. Like there's nothing else I can really think about. Oh, there's one other thing. I don't know if I want to share this on podcast.
I think I'm wondering if we're thinking about this. Are we talking about this sleepover?
No, I feel like we have to share it. People are going to judge me. They'll be like, wow, she was really pretty until she told me that story. Real cute girl, but...
Oh.
So we had a sleepover with our friend Danny, thong girl. And she had an RV in the back of her house, and we were staying the night there. What were we all doing? What were we doing in there? Why did we want to sleep over in there? Do you remember?
No, I think it was just like one of those kid situations, you know, where you're just like, oh, let's go camping outside. Like something like that. But we were just like, no, wait a second. No, we were like transforming. It was like a what's it called? An over the truck, like you. Oh, ooh, gosh, calm down. It was like one of those truck bed campers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that was kind of our hangout, like our fort. We had all of our stuff in there,
Yeah.
and magazines and where we talked about boys and shit. And anyway, that's why we were there, and we were having a sleepover.
Yeah, and her dad decided to come out, and he's like banging on the camper, scaring us. It's like mid-dark, and we're fucking terrified. I'm terrified, and he's just like banging on everything. And we're like, oh my gosh, we couldn't see anything. It's dark outside. They can see us though. We knew that, and so like I'm freaking out, and like I'm so scared. I literally need to shit myself. But I don't want to actually shit myself, but I need to shit now. Like, I'm terrified. He literally scared the poop out of me. So they were like, okay, we're all going to open the door. We'll just be by the door and there'll be a lookout. And we'll just go to the bathroom by the door. Everyone's going pee. Except me. And I'm too scared to go further away from the camper to go to the bathroom because I'm scared. And I'm too scared to walk too far from the camper, and I'm also too scared to run to the house. So everybody's peeing in the spot, and well, I now have diarrhea. No one knew that I did it though. No one had known, which is funny because like it's shit. Like nobody could tell that that's what I was doing, and I have a lookout. This is what didn't make sense to me. Like, I got away with it, though, at first.
At first.
Then her dad comes out in the morning and comes to wake us up. And he's like, oh, what the fuck? This is exactly where I will never forget. I was mortified. And he's like, who the fuck shit in front of the camper? In front of the camper door. And I wasn't gonna say nothing. I wasn't gonna tell him anyways. I'm gonna tell Allie later at home, but I'm not gonna tell him because he was mad.
See, and when this is going on, I seriously did not suspect anything. I was like, oh, like it must have been one of their dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a logical conclusion.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you even said that. You're like, it was probably one of the dogs. And Danny's like, yeah. And then he's like, no, this is human shit.
He was kind of a douchebag, though.
He was. But, I mean, you scared me. I didn't have any other choice. There was no way I was going to hold that in.
So, hey, everybody, this is my sister, Ashley. She shits in people's yards.
Free of charge. You just want some lawn ornaments? Gotcha. I can't believe I did that. Who am I? Oh, I think I told you later that day. I was like, I think when we went home is what I told you. I was like.
And I briefly remember you telling me, and I think I was mad at you.
I think you were. I forgot about that. I think I was just so mad at myself that it didn't matter that you were mad at me.
Ashley!
But thinking about it now, it's all like, what did you expect me to do? I was just a baby.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, I can see one of my kids doing something like that.
Yeah, I could see one of my kids doing something like that too.
And then just being like, wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
Nope.
Like, wow.
Needless to say, we were not allowed there again after that.
We were not.
But thinking about it now, I'm kind of glad. Because I think there might have been some weird shit going on at that house.
I think so too. There's something not right about it. I was always uncomfortable going there.
Yeah, just like some... And we were always allowed to, like, watch really inappropriate shit there, Like, it just seemed kind of odd.
Yeah, it was very weird. So then, when we weren't allowed to hang out with them anymore, there was these kids down the street in a trailer that we became friends with after that.
Yep.
And we pretended that we were famous. And they believed us.
Yes, again with us recording shit. We convinced them that we had recorded a hit single.
Yeah. Oh, and what was the CD that we used though? What was it?
Cleopatra.
Yeah. So you're looking at the group Cleopatra. That was us. I hate us. I love us. That's funny.
I mean, like, we were living in a double wide at this time.
Yeah.
We were not famous.
Yeah, I know. Like, how did they even believe that? We're like, we were pretty grungy at that time too. Like, our self-care was very low. We wore the chapstick, but
We bathed in a ditch.
our self-care was very low. The most pretty thing about us was our clothes and our chapstick, our homemade fresh batch chapstick.
You know what? I loved our little, like, ditch fort thing that we made. We always pretended to be Native Americans gathering stuff. And
Yeah, it was like a little fortress. It was like a really beautiful ditch, though. Like, if you were to like rate a ditch from a 1 to 10, that ditch was a 10, baby.
yeah, I mean, it was lined by all the trees and
It even had like the trees where like they weren't willows, but they still had like those branches that like kind of just like flowed everywhere.
mm-hmm.
It was pretty.
Yeah, and we would like
I think we also pretended to be mermaids too.
we did, but we also went across the street, the busy one that we weren't supposed to cross, and stole alfalfa out of the big alfalfa field, so that we had soft bedding for our beds.
That's right. It was very nice.
It was until it dried out, and then
Yeah.
we had to buy. We had to not buy
Buy
more.
it,
We,
like-
we had to
we, had
take
to
some
go,
more.
we had to go steal some more alfalfa.
You know, now that I'm looking back at the things that we did, it's like we were kind of a little bit criminals, weren't we? Shitting in people's yards and stealing alfalfa.
I know, you know, I think my Harry Potter was the most criminal thing of them all.
Maybe, yeah.
Or remember when we got caught picking that lady's peach tree? We're like, oh, let's just pick our own peaches because we were taking alfalfa. We were getting caught for that. So we went to go take her peaches. And then she came out, remember? And she's like, excuse me. And then we became friends with her.
Yeah. I remember that. I got so scared though.
Yeah, that was scary.
Like, oh no, we're gonna go to jail. We took some peaches.
They were very good, though.
They
I think
were.
we got away with it a few times before she caught us.
Yeah, we did. That's why we kept going back.
And you're like, yeah, obviously. Oh, shoot. That's so funny. I can't believe us.
Well, let's fast forward a little bit to like when we were teenagers together. Not shitting in people's yards. and
Not. I'm not sure it got any better. I mean, it got better than human feces, but
Yeah, for sure. we outgrew that.
yeah. On to bigger, badder.
Well, no, I mean, like so all that stuff was going on with you and your mom, and then you decided to, or I think it was you, I don't actually know, even till this day, decided to come live with your dad, which is my mom and your dad got married, and
Yeah.
That's how we became a family.
but, so you decided to come live with your dad. So like we like were kids together, and then like there was like this stint where we weren't really growing up together, and then we were growing up together again, and then we weren't, and then we were adults, and here we are. And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, like at what point how old were you when you came back?
That was when I was 16.
Okay, so it was right after all that stuff happened with
And I
your
think I
mom.
was there for like that. So I was only there for probably about like 6 months. And then me and your mom kind of like got into it. Like she thought I was trying, because I don't think she really realized like how Larea was, because she didn't really get to know me very well at that age and time. And I was like, Lorea's on her way. And I wasn't saying that as in like I was trying to be disrespectful. I was just like, she's coming. And I told her she can't, but she's coming. She knows where we live. She's coming. And I was going to your mom to tell her so I wouldn't get in trouble. But I think she saw it as a rebellion and me telling her that, like, no, she's coming over whether you like it or not. And that wasn't really, like, what was happening. But, like, I think because of how rebellious I was, she didn't know how to handle the situation. And she also didn't really understand like who Larea was. So then I ended up moving back to mom's, just because it was just a really big misunderstanding on both parts, like 100%. Like I'm not even mad at her about it. Like seeing it from like the outside in, I completely understand where she was coming from. I understood where I was coming from. And I remember I was telling you, I was like, I'm scared, like she's coming, and I told her not to. Do you remember that?
Briefly.
And so then she's like, well, if she comes, then you might as well just go. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, I'm not even upset about it because I 100%, like as a parent, see where she was coming from. So then I was gone for a little bit, but then I ended up moving back because of after what my mom did. And after that, I think they picked me up one day because they wanted to see me, and I was like super drunk, and they're like, Ashley, you can't live like this. Because it was like 9 o'clock in the morning and I was completely trashed. And so they're like, just come back home. Like, just come back home. So then I moved back in. And that was shortly after.
So the parents kept a lot of this stuff from me, like, for whatever reason. So it's like some of the stuff, like, was vaguely aware.
Yeah.
But, like, no one really took the time to explain anything, and I wasn't really asking.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know, I was more just pissed that you took off. I was just like, what the fuck? Because I felt like you just, like, kind of left.
I actually didn't want to. But, like, your mom was so mad at me, I didn't know what to do. And, like, I literally, like, I honest to God didn't want Larea to come. I told her no, like, a million times. I was like, no, don't do it. Like, oh my God, you can't. Like, no. And she didn't care. But that's just because she's a very manipulative person. She didn't care about what it did to me. She's like, oh, it's going to get you kicked out? On my way. Yeah. And I think your mom saw it more as like rebellion, which I was such a bad child. I can see where she's coming from. And so like, I didn't know what to do, and I felt like she didn't want me there. So I was just like, okay, well then I guess I'll leave. So I left.
Mom was a hard ass.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And I wasn't really used to like having strict parents, like, because I didn't really live with them. I lived with mom, who let me do whatever I wanted. So that's why I say, like, I understand 100%, like, exactly why it went the way it went. I do. Like, as a parent, especially now, I see it even more clear. At the time, I understood too, but there was just really nothing I could do about the situation at the time because I didn't know how to. I wasn't mentally not mentally in that kind of place to figure out how to fix that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I think I was only gone for about like 6 months, then I came back though.
Yeah. And then is that when you ended up like, you know, like officially dropping out and getting your GED and all that stuff?
Yes.
Okay. And I was still in high school.
Yes. Or maybe I got my GED first and then no, I think it was the other way around, because I think when I came back, they're like, no, you really have to get your shit together if you want to come back. Because, like, your mom was pretty mad at me. Yeah. She's like, no. But then
I think it was less about them being mad at you, and they just actually wanted to see you succeed.
Well, because the way she took it as what I was doing was really disrespectful. So I understood that. Like, I'd be mad at my kid too. Like, she didn't know how Lorraine was, so it's hard to see or understand like your child unless they are able to like communicate that with you. And I just wasn't able to communicate that. I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to communicate what I was going through. So from like the outside looking in, it does just look like straight up disrespect and rebellion. If we're being honest, I can see that. So they're just like, okay, well, you need to, you know, if you're going to come back, you're going to really get your crap together this time. And then that's when I stayed for actually quite a while. But then I ended up, I think it was like the breakup with Larea that really, oh no, I moved in with Larea. That's what happened. And then I went downhill, and then the parents came and pulled me out of the gutter again. I don't know how many times they've had to. You know, thinking about it, I could probably relate to a couple more movies than I thought I could. Because, like, now thinking about it, I didn't think of it this way. Now, till we're having, like, this conversation, I don't realize, like, how many times, like, have you ever, what's that one movie where, like, that one mom keeps, like, going and picking up her son, but she doesn't trust her son, because he does bad things, and she tries bringing him back home and like helping him like take care of him. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But now that I see it, now that we're like talking about it, I could see why it was so hard. Like, I see it from a different perspective, I guess, today. Now that we're talking about it, we'll come back to it another time. When me and Justin get into our stories, I'll have all my T's crossed, my I's dotted. But yeah, I was a bad kid. I was a bad kid.
The thing is, though, is you weren't a bad kid. Like, you weren't. Because when you were with me, you were not bad.
That's true.
It was just the people you were around.
I was around a lot of bad people. And I was around a lot of people who encouraged me to do things that I shouldn't do. Like, I allowed people in my life who didn't want to see me succeed. They wanted to pull me under the current with them.
Misery loves company.
They sure do.
Yeah, I remember that one party that we went at, and someone was shooting at us and shit. And
Yes.
Yeah.
And I broke my hand because I punched the wall.
Well, that was a different party.
Oh, I thought it was the same party.
Nope, you actually broke your hand punching it in the wall when we were at that barn to see Justin. Remember?
Oh.
It was like Axel's house or something, and you ended up punching the steel, not the steel beam, the wood beam.
I don't remember
in that
getting
barn.
mad at that barn.
Dude, you were always mad when you were drunk.
I don't remember this. Why?
I actually had people say, "Is your sister gonna come? Is she gonna get drunk? Like, I don't want her fighting people." She's like, it'll be fine. Because it's always a lot of fun until it's not.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun until it stops.
Like, remember the hairpiece?
They hairpiece. She did. She had the hairpiece.
She had the hairpiece. But the way Ashley was saying it sounded like her piece.
And that girl hated me.
I wonder why.
Because I was telling everybody at the party that she
Hey,
had a
she's
hairpiece.
got the hairpiece.
It's like, her, that one, hairpiece. And they're like, you do? Yeah, I was like, yeah, she told me hairpiece. Do you remember my fake name that I made one time when I was really drunk?
Oh, yes.
What was it?
Hold on. Shit. It was like Ash something Harley Davidson. Hold on. We had this guy convinced.
You
too.
helped me make the name. That's why I'm coming to you, because I think you made the name for me.
Oh.
Well, halfway. You made 50% of it, and I made 50% of it. Because, yeah, we had him convinced that it was my name.
It was Ash something.
Oh, we did good. We were good. We're a good team. We come up with some of the weirdest things ever.
And we really had them convinced.
Yeah, we did. He
Yeah.
believed that was my whole last name.
He's like, nah, you're fucking with me. I'm like, no, do you want to see her ID? I can show it to you right now. And he's like, yeah. But it was dark, so he's just like, oh, shit, you know?
I forgot I did show him my ID, and he did think he saw that. And I was like, mm-hmm. Yep.
The things you can convince people if you, like, literally just wave things in their face. Like.
Or if you give them enough Everclear.
Is that what it was? See, I thought we were just, like, magicians.
No, remember we were always drinking moonshine and Everclear then.
Oh, no. No, I was always drinking vodka.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah. Because remember you, like, you were talking me up to your friend Erin. You're just like, she's the only one I know who can just take shots without chasers. And I, like, took a swig out of the bottle all cool. And then she's like, damn.
Oh, my God.
I was, like, drinking it like water. Like, what? I'm cool.
She said what she said.
Now I'm just like, in my head, I remember my thought. I'm like, fuck, this sucks. I just wanted to drink water so bad.
But I had gym so much you
I
had
know,
to
I'm like,
live
okay.
up to it.
Yeah.
You're like,
I might throw this up later.
You're like, I got a liver of steel.
But not a stomach of one, so it's coming up in a little bit.
I can't.
And I wonder why I have heart problems.
Do you remember we'd go around and we would have the shot strain?
Yes.
Me and you literally made that up and everybody would just do it.
Yep.
Nobody had no fucking clue. I don't even know how we came up with it. We're just like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do it. And they're like, everybody, shots. And every person who joined it, so like you would have to take a shot as you joined it. But like every time somebody joined, everybody had to take a shot. And then the new person joining took the shot.
Yep.
So you're getting real fucked up.
Really fast.
It's too fast.
Yeah.
Oh, or remember the one time where I Supermaned it off of the broken stick?
See, that's what I'm talking about. It was fun
Until it wasn't.
until it wasn't. And then it was just like, well, I think we might have taken things too far again. Oops. And then slowly, over a long period of time, no one wanted us back at their house.
Is that what happened?
That's kind of how it felt.
I saw. Oh my gosh, I've seen some of the people that we partied with,
Yeah, me too.
and I remember being like, oh my god, they we thought they were so hot, and I see them now, and I'm like, oh, glad we didn't end up with one of those.
I'm pretty sure some of them have said the same thing about me, but
Doubtful.
well, like Justin and I actually just saw one of those people. I'm not going to name names, but I made poorly decisions once.
Okay.
Them.
And
And
was
nope,
it with 2 people?
Nope. Yep. Nope.
Does one of them start with
Shh. Shh.
yeah?
Shh. Anyway, he has a dad bod now.
He does.
Yeah.
I cut his hair. I cut his hair.
So we were just like, both of us were like, oh my God, like he was like this big forever.
Forever.
Like I was just like, he's going to be one of those guys kind of like,
yeah, nobody heard that. But
look,
yeah.
You know, because he was a really string beanie, you know.
Yeah.
And so I did not see that coming. And then I'm just like, I mean, he looks completely different.
He doesn't even.
It was like he had a second puberty,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Because I remember we were like, damn, he's so fine. Like, we thought he was so hot. And like, you're like, I'm gonna get it. You had your eye on it.
Everything's off limits for you, not me.
Oh, apologies, ma'am. Oops.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are gonna call it a night.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. No, I did not see that coming.
I didn't see that coming
And
either.
I was just like, oh, wow. It was because they sent a friend request to Justin. And I'm just like, and then he's like, oh, is that? No way. And I'm just like, the whole time, I'm like,
I don't even know who that is. Who's that? Who that? Oh, is that Frederick?
You know, it's funny you say Frederick because Justin named a lint fluff in his armpit. Frederick. And he convinced our daughters that it was a spider.
So I just called him the name of your husband's arm fluff. He's a Frederico.
Oh. Okay.
Holy crap.
All right.
I'm dead.
Simmer. Gentle simmer.
Very gentle.
Okay. Gonna. Yeah.
That's good.
So. I know that, like, we've kind of jumped around a little bit on various different subjects and also kind of jumped around in your life in general.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we've at least touched on childhood, you know, major milestones and what shaped you, and some teenagehood. And so now I want to kind of, like, wrap it up with the adulthood, right? So,
Okay.
let's talk a little bit.
Just titty punch your mic.
I did kind of. Um, so
So aggressive.
let's kind of talk about like that turning point. Like when would you, because okay, obviously everyone's a quote unquote adult by the time they're 18, but when do you think you actually had that mental and emotional adult maturity?
Okay. I think it really hit me when I lost one of my friendships. It kind of just like really put into light quite a bit of my flaws and what kind of person I was becoming and what kind of person I am at that time. And seeing how like my lifestyle and the choices I made and the things that I was doing was really pushing away a lot of people that I really loved and care for. I was just kind of tired of it because like I said, I love love, and that doesn't just mean like relationships love. Like I just love love. Like I love to love people. I love people to love me back. Like I just love it. Like I like to have those connections with people. So when you've pushed so many people away from you and then that you no longer get to experience those things that you love the most, which is love for me. Like I think that kind of was like a turning point for me for one. But it wasn't enough. Because I did enroll and I did go to cosmetology school and I did get my license, but it wasn't until I got pregnant with Chalice, my oldest, who is now going to be 9 in February.
So
it
like
was
next month.
yeah. It wasn't until I got pregnant with him that like I knew what kind of person I wanted to be for my child, and I knew that it was time for me to start getting my shit together so I could be that. I always say that like he probably saved my life because even though I had went to cosmetology school and I got my license and I was working, it didn't mean that I was done being stupid. You know?
Right.
So I was still doing those things. I was doing them in more moderation, enough moderation that I was able to do the things that I needed to do to start getting my life set up, but I wasn't fully ready to give it all up, I think. And so then when I was pregnant, like I was just like, okay, I can't live like this anymore. Like I made choices. I'm pregnant and I need to step up and show him, the life that I always wanted. Show him the love that I know a child actually deserves, that maybe I didn't always get to experience. And I just wanted to really be that for him and be the mom he deserved. And that's really honestly what made me change.
See, and that's really powerful and relatable, because Justin did the same thing when Addie came into the picture. But of course, the damage was already done, and
Unfortunately,
he had a lot to make up for, and still is. But I think it's interesting you say that because, like, you can say that that's what saved your life and what changed you, but it's like you still see those people out there who, I mean, they're literally dragging their kid in the dirt with them.
I honestly, I see that too, and I don't understand on that level because I am that person that, and I also, like you said, see it with Justin. Like my love for my family and my love for my children is so much stronger than my love for drugs, my addiction. It is so much stronger than that, and I don't know why it is that way for me. Because clearly it's not that way for everybody, and honestly it breaks my heart because I can't comprehend it and I don't understand. But at the same time, I do understand the kind of hold that drugs does have on you.
Yeah, and I know that this is going to be the unpopular opinion because I've never struggled with addiction the way that like you and Justin have, but I mean I have my own struggles with things.
You know what's really funny though? I would never considered myself an addict for the longest time. I would never admit it. I'd be like, well, I quit. And it wouldn't be that easy for an addict to quit. So I'd be like, I can just stop whenever I want. So like I literally, truly like made myself believe that I was not an addict. Which is weird because like now I admit it, like I know it. Like looking back, babe, there's no denying it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I kind of saw it that way too, with you. Like, I was like, nah, you're good,
Yeah, you can stop whenever you want.
But I also didn't really understand addictions, and I still, like, I can't say that I fully understand them the same way like you and Justin do, because like I said, I'm not like a recovering addict when it comes to like hardcore drugs. I mean, like, I've dabbled in things, and I've never really had that pull.
Yeah. It's a pull.
But, and this is going to be the unpopular opinion especially coming from me. But you know, I am a firm believer that like it starts with the choice.
It does.
You know?
Absolutely 100% does. And
so it has to end with one too.
it does.
You know?
What's your choice? What's going to be your reason to make that choice, to like that decision that's forever going to change your life? I honestly think, like, thinking about it, like, kind of going back to that thing where you said, like, shit, did I lose my train of thought? I hope I didn't. That fear. Because when you're depending on how deep you are in, you don't have a job, you don't have anything, you don't have anybody, you have the people that do it with you. Like, the people who are doing these drugs with you, those people. You have the people that you're parting with. All those people are no longer going to exist in your life. So you're giving up everything that you know. Like, you're giving up all the friends you have. You're giving up your entire lifestyle. You're giving up everything that you know in this moment, and you're having to start over from fresh. And the life that you were living no longer exists, and you're having to give up all of those things that you love at the moment. And so I think it really also boils down to that fear of like your own goals and your own dreams, and believing in your own worth. Because if you don't believe that you're worthy of a better life, why are you going to stop?
Yeah. No, for sure. I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that being like a big contributing factor. And if you don't have any reason to quit,
Yeah, absolutely.
then why are you?
Yeah.
But then it's like, if you do have a good enough reason to quit, that should be, I mean, will you go through because people are always saying, like, they would die for the kids.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, I really would die for my kids. I would live for my kids.
Amen.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if you are actively in that shit and you love your children, like, are you going to do whatever it takes to put your selfish nature aside so that they can have the life they didn't ask to be here?
Exactly.
Like, are you going to make those choices just like you made the first choice to start in the beginning, to stop, so that they don't have to be forced into a choice that they never wanted in the first place?
See, I'm going to have to say that's the part that I can't understand, because, like I said, my love for my children is just so much stronger than my need and want for the drugs. Although I can say that there are definitely days where I probably still want them, or like I'm probably craving for them, or I'm thinking about them, or I'm wishing I was on them. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that those aren't thoughts that I don't have, because they 100% are. There will be a day where I'm just so fucking low. I'm at my fucking lowest.
So what stopped you?
My kids. I'm like almost teary-eyed saying that, but like, my kids. Like you said, they didn't ask to be here. They didn't ask to live that life with me. They didn't choose this. So I'm not going to make that choice for them and drag them down with me. That's not fair.
So let's ponder a thought for a second. The harsh upbringings that you had, the things that traumatized you, the things that made you, who you are and what you went through, but also the parent that you are. Had that not happened, had you just been given everything, literally just basically bailed out of every bad situation, would you have made, just pondering a thought here, do you think you still would make the same choices for your kids?
I don't know. I can't say that. I can say that I do think that the reason why I parent the way I do and the parent that I am today is because of the things that I've gone through. So I definitely can say, like, on the parent side, that I do know that I would probably be a different parent, because I know that I don't do spankings. I can't do them. That actually puts me in a really, really, really bad place when I spank my kids. Like, Like, I want to use some drugs, bad place. So I don't do spankings. People think it's crazy, but that's one of the biggest reasons why I don't do them, because it puts me in a bad place. It brings me to a really dark place. And so I have to kind of almost sometimes change my parenting styles in order to make sure that I'm the best parent that I can be. Because if spanking my kids makes me want to go use some drugs, I should probably not spank my kids.
Yeah, but I mean, knowing what I know now, I mean, it does actually make sense going through what you went through with your mom and stuff like that. Like, violence is a trigger for you,
It's a huge trigger for me.
like for your addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially if you're the person inflicting it, like, I can understand that. Like, I'm not for spankings myself either.
Yeah.
I have before, but like, to me, it doesn't make any logical sense. Like, don't do that. I'm going to hit you.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. The only way that you're going to learn how to do better is by me using violence against you.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Doesn't make sense
It's
to
not
me
a
either.
logical thing, and plus, it never actually works for my kids. Like, they're just like, "Are
Well,
you kidding me?"
Yeah, and I just don't think that like teaches you like the right thing. Like that's not like, I understand, like I've been like I had talked to somebody about this recently, and they had said that they do it because it's a consequence, and so I explained to them that it's a consequence. I'm like, well then why don't you teach them what the real actual consequences are instead of showing them that a spanking is their consequence, because that's not real life. That's not realistic. And I think as a parent we should be teaching them real life consequences and what actually really happens. So when Charles was hitting animals and he was hurting animals, I literally took him to the police station and I said, you're going to jail. These are real life consequences, buddy. This is what you want. And I know that seems harsh to some people, but that's actually what's really going to happen. That is really actually his consequence. I'd rather show him the actual truth of what could actually happen than spanking him and telling him, oh, you're just going to get a slap on the wrist and move on your merry way. That's not how this world works.
Yeah, well, and then on top of that, it's like, are you teaching them consequence, like,
No.
at all, or are you just teaching them fear?
It is. You are just teaching them fear. Like, I'm only getting you to listen to me because you're scared of me.
Yeah, and I, personally, I mean, I understand why a lot of parenting tactics go that way, like respecting authority and blah, blah, blah. But for me, I don't want my kids to fear me. I want them to love, feel safe, come to me when they're in issues, and also respect me.
Exactly. And how can somebody possibly respect you when you're inflicting pain? And
Especially when you're like, hey, you don't hit someone, but I'm gonna spank you.
yeah, I literally said that. That's exactly what I said to my friend. I was like, I'm going to hit you. Oh, I'm going to hit you because I'm mad at you for hitting him. Because that's how we solve things. So
Two
what I'm
wrongs make it
teaching
right.
you, what I'm teaching you is that because he made you mad, you're going to hit him. And then because you made me mad, I'm now going to hit you. So we're both right.
Pretty much.
Like, congratulations. You won.
Yeah, it's all kind of weird, and I mean, I'm gonna respect anybody's way of parenting if it works for them and it works for their children more than anything, because like for me, and Justin will say this all day, like I am never going to be happy with the way I parent. I'm always gonna constantly want to improve it. Like I always feel like I can do better.
But that's what makes a really good mom, though. It's the fact that I do not like. I love hearing that actually, because I think that just like in our jobs and our careers, like we're always gonna have to constantly learn and grow in order to be the best, right? Be the best that we can be in that time and in that moment. So we have to continue growing and being open to those learning experiences. So it's not any different being a parent. In order for us to be the best parents that we can possibly be is by continuing to educate ourselves and by continuing to want better for them, because it is a learning experience. Like it's like I think that's beautiful. I think the fact that you think that you can always be better only says to me personally, I guess this is how I feel, but it says to me that you're always constantly striving to be a better mom for your children, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is the goal. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always going to want to be better. Like, especially, I mean, guilt is such a real thing when you're a parent. It's just like, you're like, oh, I'm fucking them up. You know, like, but really, and Justin and I have decided that this is really what it is. It's like, your goal as a parent, if nothing else happens, is to just fuck them up a little less than you were fucked up.
Yeah.
You
Break
know?
the cycle a little bit.
You know?
Break it a little.
So, I mean, whatever that means to you, that's what we decided. I mean, because
And
like no parent is perfect.
No.
Our parents weren't perfect. We're not perfect parents, you know, and there's no handbook and no kid is the same. So it's like there's literally like you're going to mess up.
Yeah. And at the bare minimum, like just keeping them alive. And I mean that in so many different ways, because parenting not only means keeping them alive by protecting them from like life dangers, but not just to the point where like environmental things like car crashes and like bad weather like a tornado or something like that, but like pedophiles, but like also protecting them from themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I mean, like, that's one thing. Like, so we recently took our oldest. I mean, you guys know that we're a traveling family, but we came back to the place that we left from because she wanted to go back to school at the school that she was familiar with. So that was our primary reason for coming back.
Okay.
Because we were full-time traveling, you know, we were actually going to settle in a completely different state, but she wanted to go back to her school. So that's the primary reason why we came back. There was a couple other reasons, but that was the primary one. But she recently decided, nope, she's done with that. She wants to homeschool. I have never been happier in my life because that's what I want for her. And I mean, the primary reason why I want that is because I have control over what she's exposed to.
Yeah.
And, but the main thing is the world can't steal the little bit of who she is away from her so young.
Exactly.
You know, like she doesn't have to live up to an expectation.
Yep.
And that was my primary, like that's what I wanted most for her because she's smart as heck.
Yeah.
She was carrying her class with her scores alone. Like she's a smart kid. And so I'm not worried at all in that. But
Yeah.
of course I was just like, oh, but she's also a social butterfly. And,
Yeah.
you know.
There's so many other ways to get that social aspect though, and it doesn't have to be school. Because honestly, if I had a choice, I'd still be homeschooling. Because I feel the same way as you. I think me and you are a lot alike in a lot of our parenting. I feel like mine and your parenting is a lot more alike than sometimes we realize. Because like I feel that same way. Like I got to choose a lot of what they did. I got to choose what classes they were like taking or how much we dabbled into certain things. And now I don't have that control. So now they're in school and I'm like, oh, like what are they teaching you? Because I remember being in school and I remember some of the fucked up things they would teach me.
Or didn't teach, rather.
Yeah. Like, well, I would say that, so I had my babysitters were black. And I was being taught things at school, but I also wasn't taught how to be sensitive towards these subjects. Mm. So in return, I would come home and say really fucked up things to my babysitters.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, and so it's like if you're going to teach them something, teach them all of it.
So, yeah, let's touch back on, we briefly touched on it when we first started the podcast. So, coming back to it, full circle. So that's kind of what I was meaning when I asked that question. Like, do you think it's actually a segregation thing or do you think it's like a victim thing? So I guess there's a third option here where it's neither. And it's more like, are we creating a problem? Like, are we creating a mix of the both? You know, like where it's almost like, so we teach some of the history, right? And we leave some of it out, but then we're allowing some people to be victims about it because we're like, oh, we have to be super sensitive about it, mm-hmm. right? Yeah. Which I think in turn, in a lot of ways, allows people to be victims.
Yeah.
And that's not just for this situation. This is for any situation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so easy to become a victim too.
Oh, yeah. And then once you're there, it's hard to not be one. So it's one of those situations where it's like you gotta really decide, and that's something we've been talking with my oldest about a lot because she likes to play. She's experimenting with those boundaries. But so with the whole race thing, it's like, are we creating a problem by being overly sensitive and not just teaching the information or allowing people to explain things? Because the reality is the whole privilege situation, I'm a little bit on the fence with, only because I feel like anybody, regardless of race or gender or whatever it is, anybody can be at privilege or without privilege. So I feel like it becomes a problem when we make it a problem, and or when we allow it to be our reason for not succeeding or our reason for not communicating.
So I feel like, okay, so what they say is that we learn our history so that it doesn't repeat itself. Well, then why is so much getting left out?
Right. No, for sure. And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Are we creating the
Yeah.
problem
Absolutely, 100%.
by not communicating?
Yeah, so if we don't want to repeat it, then we need to actually educate it and why it is the way it is. Also, we need to...
But not so much in a victim way, not like...
Yeah. But I also think that if people were being educated properly, then we wouldn't have the people who do create some of the problems though too, because there are some really racist people out there.
Oh, for sure.
And sometimes those people end up in authority and they take advantage of that authority. And that is what gets highlighted, okay? Obviously, we see it. But it sucks when you're like in that position where you actually physically get to see that authority being used against somebody.
Right.
I think that's the hardest thing is that part. So like that's the part that I have an issue with is that there are too many people in power who are racist, that have too much authority.
I
And
almost want to say like they're not even racist, they're just uneducated.
Yeah. Well, really that's what happens. That's how they become racist, is because they are so uneducated. Or I have met people like where they really truly believe that they are below. I have seen it. Also, I do get to see it. I get to see it when I well, you know, Tiana's like half black. She doesn't get to see it as much either because she's a little bit on the lighter side. But you bring out another one of our friends who is a little darker complected, and you really get to see, if you like going downtown. I remember, because like even I know enough, and like if I'm feeling fear for them, then I know like that it's not okay. Like if I'm feeling fear for my friend because of a choice that they made, and knowing that the complexion or, you know, the complexion of their skin is going to get them in a little bit more trouble than if I were to have done it because I am lighter complected. You know what I'm saying? So I do see it. I do see it from both sides. I do think that there are people out there who do definitely take it way, way out of proportion. They're too much of a victim, and I'm like, okay, so do you want to stay a victim, or do you want to make a change? Because you sitting here crying about it is doing nothing. Yes, you're spreading your word and sharing your story, but being a victim is keeping you a victim. Yeah, I do agree with that. But I have seen enough to know that I understand why it is scary sometimes, having more melanin in our skin, you know?
Yeah.
So I have seen it, and it does suck. So I do, I'm one of those people who's just kind of like right in the middle, I guess. I don't fully believe, I don't think I sit on either side really.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like it's kind of a combination of all.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't necessarily think that it's I don't know exactly where I sit 100%, just because like sometimes I'm like I really firmly believe that like it is a communication created problem.
Absolutely. I think media has a lot to do with a lot of the racial problems we have.
Yeah. And then you get the extreme, like you do in anything, including religion, like kind of like what we were talking about. You have the extreme in anything. And so like some people will take a problem and blow it out of proportion, you know.
If you have to make a cult to solve your problems, it ain't it.
Right. Or like a full on, I don't want to say movement, but like there's been a lot of movements that I'm just like, okay, what is this doing exactly?
Nothing.
Is this helping or is it making it worse?
Yeah, well, because, like, see, because I was on the fence. I remember, do you remember, because, like, I kind of put myself in this kind of position when when the George Floyd happened, right? And that police officer literally killed him. And, like, you cannot tell me that police officer didn't know what the fuck he was doing. You didn't know that knee on neck equaled death. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time understanding his side of the story. 100%. I don't care what that man did. There were so many other options. I don't care how strong he was. Like, there was no reason for it to go the way they did. I do understand. I don't give a shit if he was a good person or a bad person. The way he died was absolutely unfucking necessary. And I remember that being one of the first things that really kind of just, like, really broke my heart. And I remember, and for the first time, I actually kind of agreed with some of the reaction, some of it. And I was like, fuck, if that was my son, I'd burn the whole fucking city down. I'd burn that motherfucker down. And nobody's giving a shit. We're burning the bitch down, you know? So, like, I understood. And then I wasn't so angry anymore. And then I was like, okay, but I can burn the whole fucking city down. And what did that do? It just made my problem worse.
It made that segregation. That's kind of what I was meaning. Like,
Yeah.
it creates a bigger problem.
Yeah, it created a bigger problem because, yes, absolutely, do I feel and understand and empathize with the feeling of wanting to burn the motherfucker down.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, my heart says, like, yeah, burn the bitch down, you know? But then the other part of me is like, okay, but what did that solve? And what image did you're literally, the exact thing that you're trying to fight against is the exact thing that you showed them.
Right.
Like,
yeah. You're trying not to look like you're bad, or, you know, the view that the media portrays you as, and then that's exactly
yeah,
what you
I
did.
feel like they used violence to prove that they're not violent.
Yeah. Essentially.
So it goes kind of back to, like, our parenting style.
Right.
Like, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. I'm like, well, shit, that was kind of a not very helpful. I can't think of the word I wanted to use, but yeah, like, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. And so, like, we make those mistakes, but instead of, like, seeing that as what it was and correcting it, then everybody was burning their fucking cities down.
Yeah. Yeah. It got wild.
It got crazy. Because I feel like George Floyd really, like, that whole thing that happened really created, like, I feel like things went downhill so fucking fast.
Yeah.
After that, which I completely understand. I understand the anger. I 100% wholeheartedly understand the anger. I understand the feeling as a mom, as a parent. I can't say that I don't understand, because I do.
Yeah, but would that same exact thing happened if it were a Hispanic individual or a Muslim individual?
I do think it would have happened if it was someone of color. Absolutely.
I don't know. And I'm not saying that it's like a black and white thing.
Yeah.
That's not where I'm going with this. My point is, like, would the aggression had been there, would people have cared as much if it were any other race or color or religion or background? I'm taking white completely out of this because we're talking kind of about, like, race and segregation.
Yeah.
So, like, that's why I say, like, if it was a Hispanic individual or even a Muslim, like, would the outcry and the reaction have been as big?
No, because I think that most of our problems are between the white and the black races, because that is, like, the bigger issue here, and it was a white police officer against a black man. I definitely do think, because of all the media and everything that happened, and also our history, obviously, with all that together, I definitely feel like it made it a bigger issue.
Okay. See, and I just wonder, because it's like, you know, it kind of goes back to what you were talking about earlier about, you know, the Muslim woman. And so it just makes me wonder, like, in a different place, like, it's still, you know, white people being the bad guy, right? Doing the wrong thing that they shouldn't be doing, so that history doesn't repeat itself, regardless of the race and or religion or whatever it is. You know, if it's doing something out of fear or out of like power, that's why I wonder if the outcry or the reaction would have been the same. I mean, I don't think it would have been the same. Like, we can agree on that. I don't think it would have been, but why?
That's the part I don't understand. I'm still trying to educate myself on all of it.
Demonstrate.
I'm actually in the middle of reading a book called White Fragility, which is actually a really good read. I just started it though, and I haven't really got to pick it up as much as I would like to, but it does kind of like shine the light from like a different perspective, I guess. And kind of like explains like what that's like their side of the story, because like I live as a white person. I live in this is the skin I was born in. This is what I live. Okay. And so it just kind of puts it into perspective and like what they go through. So I'm kind of reading that. I'll definitely love to share what I take from it with you. But I'm definitely still educating myself to still decide like where I think the actual real problem lies. I can't figure it out. I just know I don't like it. I know I hate it. I know that I hate, like, one of the main reasons why I left my last place was because she told me, like, she literally, my boss, like, just comfortably looked me in the face. I was like, hey, girl, like, she's Muslim. I'm not comfortable with this. I'm like, girl, I can't work for you.
Yeah.
I can't work for someone like you.
Well, and regardless of how I'm putting myself off, I mean, like, I'm truly asking these questions because I feel like they're socially.
I don't think you're putting yourself off in any kind of way.
Well, I mean, but just for the record.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
yeah.
I'm not racist at all. In fact, like, you know, with my anthropology background, I'm very pro races, you know, like, and I fully support indigenous communities, minorities. But I just I do wonder, just like I'm very interested into the why things happen.
Yeah, no,
You know?
I agree. That's why I still personally I just can't put my finger on it. Like I can't say that I know why it is happening the way it is, and I'm not sure I have fully like developed my opinion on it. Is more so, I guess, where I'm going with it is that I don't think I fully know my like how I truly feel about it. I know that it is a problem, and I know that it bothers me, and I know I don't like some of the things I've already experienced. And so if I'm experiencing those feelings as me living in the skin that I'm in, I can only imagine what it's like for somebody not me and what they're feeling and experiencing. Because like there's people who are really evil out there. Like,
Oh yeah.
there are people like, because I think it's harder for people to understand and relate when they're like us. Like, we don't understand why somebody would hate somebody because of the color of their skin. We don't understand that. We don't look at people that way. We just love people. We don't care where you came from. None of that. And I think that's also why it's like that's a struggle for us, is because we don't understand that, and we don't understand why somebody would hate somebody just because they're a different color. And then we have those people out there who just like, they just fully hate anybody who doesn't share the same color as them.
Yeah.
And that goes for both. I have seen, I haven't just seen white people who hate black people. I have seen black people who hate white people. I have seen it on both sides. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I've only seen white people be racist towards black people. I have definitely seen black people be racist towards white people. I've seen it on both sides.
Yeah, I've seen it in multiple different races.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
it's not just
and
one way or another. It's
Yeah.
it's across the board, and it's very interesting. I mean, even if you take history out of it,
Yeah.
I think it would still be there. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, if
Yeah.
history did not play a part, I feel like we would still find a way to just
Well, people will always find a reason to hate somebody else.
yeah.
You'll always find a reason. Oh, I don't like you because you just look like a perfect little Barbie doll. Your eyes are blue, your hair is blonde. Like,
Yeah, for
Somebody's
sure.
gonna find something to hate you for, or maybe you just look like Harry Potter growing up, and they don't think it's cute. So they're gonna hate you because you're not cute. Matter of fact, you're kind of ugly, and it's fine.
You know.
Somebody's gonna hate you for something.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's humans are fickle. But
Yeah.
as we're dialing down and wrapping this up, and we kind of went over some things, and like, let's go back to, what is that word that you would describe yourself?
I would describe myself. I have to pick one. I guess, I feel like I'm just a very loving individual. Very loving. I'd say that.
I was going to say resilient. Like, that's the word that I would use.
Resilient.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you have went through a lot, and you have made a lot of mistakes.
Too many.
But you've also picked yourself up every single time, and it's getting easier for you. Like, over time, you're getting better at picking yourself up, whether you notice it or not.
Yeah.
You're getting better at it, and you're not using the same methods of picking yourself up. And I think that that's something that needs to shine its light through.
You're right. It's hard to see that though when you're in the mud.
Well, and it's hard to see that in yourself when you feel a certain way.
Yeah, and we're not gonna pretend like I'm not in a dark place right now, because I am, and it's up and down sometimes, and I'm in a really good place, and mentally we're in winter, so mentally I'm kind of in that darker place. So coming up with a nice compliment for myself right now is definitely harder.
Well, and it doesn't always have to be a nice compliment. Sometimes it just needs to be a real depiction of what you see.
Yeah.
But we've kind of touched on goals. We've kind of touched on the way we see ourselves. We've definitely touched on various parts of your life, your story, at least a very brief overview. I want to finish this up with one final question. Where do you see yourself? And let's kind of also mention the whole goals things one more time. Like, let's not allow our fear of our unworthiness or our worthiness shadow over our goals in this scenario. But where do you see yourself? What are your goals for the next 10 years?
So I will have my barber's license, because that's the only thing I'm missing out of this industry. Because I have my Cosmo instructor. And then I would eventually do plan on having my own shop. It's something that I would really like to do, which also means that I'm going to have to need a really good reputation. So in 10 years, I'm going to have a really good reputation in specializing in men's cutting. But that also has to do it, like, and that's crazy, because it's like, do you know how many people are like just super talented in that industry? It's about how you stand out and show off your skills in a specific way that reaches your community. And so it's like finding that little thing. So I guess discovering and finding out what it is that makes me unique and special, and what makes my skill so desirable. I'm going to find that.
Okay. I think those are good goals and good aspirations to have. I also feel like a lot of it is just, going back to the whole fear thing and being worthy of your dreams and your goals. It's, yeah, they should fucking scare you. If your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough.
Amen.
And do something that scares you every day.
Amen.
Show yourself off.
Yes.
All right.
Show them who you really are.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, and there will be more in the future. And hopefully we didn't scare everybody off with the first episode.
I know. We have different opinions, and it's okay. I mean, we're always trying to educate ourselves, so maybe you may not like how we view something today, but one thing I know about me and Allie is that we're always like evolving and changing and growing, and with that, it means our opinions are growing. So even if you don't agree with it now, that's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, nobody has to have the same opinion. I mean, I think
No.
that's really the big thing, and the whole point of the show that I really wanted to portray was like, you know, I just wanted something to where like everyday people could
Yeah.
share information. Like nothing's off limits. Everybody lives a different life.
And there's no shame in feeling the way that you feel about something. There should never be shame in the way that you feel about something.
Well, but I mean, everybody lives different.
Yeah.
And it's 2023. It's about time that we like be okay with people living different.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean
No.
you have to like it.
No.
It doesn't mean you have to like it, but people live different, and I want to know your story. I want to know your story. I want to know the nitty-gritty, because small talk annoys the shit out of me. I want the rich detail.
Yeah. Let's get deep.
All right. That's episode 1 of Unorthodox Gypsy. See you later.